Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And today I want to talk about the idea of using your 401k to buy a home. I came about thinking about this because I follow a lot of real estate agents on my social media. I like real estate agents, don't want to be one, but I aspire. I think that if they're successful, they live some very fabulous lives. But one of them that I admire let it slip out that she has used the tactic of letting her clients use their 401k to buy the home, and that made me cringe a little bit. And then it made me also realize that this is why you got to realize that social media is not real, because you see people living these fabulous lives and sometimes you can feel inadequate, but we shouldn't feel inadequate because social media is not real, and what people portray are just their highlights, and we don't know how they're getting those highlighted things, right? So I guess that makes me think about, like, would I do it, and would you do it? Have you done it? Drop down in the comments, let me know if you would use your 401k to buy a home, or if you have, and how your experience was. I think I want to talk about like the process involved, because I've done some research, and like the pros and the cons, and at the end of the day, why I think I would avoid it, even though it is tempting. Real quick, please like this video so other people who like to talk about this stuff can see it on their algorithm and they can learn and opine and have opinions like we are right now. So buying a house is expensive, more so than it has ever, I don't know about ever, but at least in a long time in history. And the average price of a home in America is over $400. And that's the average of everywhere. If you look regionally, like I would say in South Florida where I live, I say for an average house that you're not scared is going to fall down on you, is going to cost you $600,000 to $650,000. So we're a little bit more average here. And because these are so expensive and wages are not going with the expenses that we are needed to pay for these houses and these cars, I can see why it's tempting to use your 401k. Because if you are saving in your 401k, you can technically borrow against it. The positives or the pros about it is that if you do have a 401k and you've been saving for a while, let's say in your 20s and you're in your 30s, which is the average time someone buys their home, you have increased the amount that's in your 401k and you can borrow against it. The maximum that you can borrow against your 401k is $50,000, and $50,000 is a healthy amount of money. However, it's not that much money when the average house price is $600,000 to $650,000 in Miami. It may go a little bit further if you're somewhere and the average price is $400,000. And another positive about it is that it is tax-free. You don't pay a penalty on it because you're going to pay yourself back. But when you think about down payments, when you think about closing costs, and now real estate has changed where sometimes buyers are going to have to pay the agent that they're using to buy their home, that $50,000 isn't going to go a long way. But the negatives are substantial. The first one being that you're going to miss out on your gains. The average, let's say you have 50,000 in there, right? Which is awesome. Over time, if you calculate a modest return, which is 8%, some people say it's 10%, but I'll do modest and say 8%. 8% on 50,000 is $4,000 a year. You do have 5 years to pay this loan back, right? So ultimately, you could have missed $20,000, and you're missing out on having that high amount you're paying yourself back. Let's say you have $100,000, then you're missing out on $8,000 a year plus the $50,000 that you have to pay over those 5 years. So when you do the math, that's a lot of money. Now, another thing is that it helps, but it doesn't really help, if you see what I'm saying, because again, $50,000 does not go a long way. And let's say you have less than that, it might be more prudent just to find another way, like maybe a side hustle, or taking some more time to buy the house instead of buying it this year or next year, because 401ks are one of those things that should be left alone, should be saved, and should not be looked at, and should be untouchable. And I know it's really tempting to buy a home, and I get it. And for full disclosure, I do have a home, so I understand that. I'm not trying to be that type of person that's like, oh, well, you have a home, so it's easy for you to say. No, I would not buy a home at this point because I'm priced out. But when I did buy the home, I wasn't priced out, so I did. But what I'm saying is, I don't think, even though I think buying a home is important, I don't want us to be really house poor and then lose the opportunity cost of having good retirement to be in a home, because homes nowadays with property taxes and insurance, especially if you live in Florida, it's just going to eat and eat and eat your money, and there's no way for your money to grow. And it's going to be harder for us to replenish the 401k loan, replenish your brokerage account, blase swaze. Because every year that you're in that house, every year that I'm in my house, I cringe at my taxes and I cringe at my insurance. So that's why I say, in my opinion, if we can't afford it without the 401k loan, then we probably shouldn't do it. I think it should be okay until things change in our society, and hopefully we are on the brink of change, but even we got to prepare for it not being on it. I think on the brink of change, I think it's okay for us to shift our dream of being homeowners, at least at a young age. Maybe the dream is that we're going to be homeowners at an older age, but let's use our money wisely now. And that doesn't mean to just be like, okay, I'm never going to be a homeowner. No, I'm just saying that it might be postponed. The average age of being a homeowner, which is 30, might get pushed back to 40, maybe 45. And that is horrible and it sucks, I agree. But we got to find different ways and be in creative ways to have our money work for us. The way that I see it, that I'm going to push for right now is I'm actually going to start a brokerage account. I've been wanting to do it for a while. And I see it as a positive outlet instead of maybe buying a second home or upgrading my home, because I've been priced out, because I'm going to put my money in, even if it's small amounts, $100 here, $125 here, that's a pair of shoes. That's a shopping spree at Sephora for me, or that's a dress and a half or something. I'm going to put that money in a brokerage account and get 8% back on what I'm having, and I'm going to do that year after year after year. I realized that I'm going to try to set a big goal of $100,000 in a brokerage account, because those shoes, that makeup is not going to get me 8% of my money. But every year when I'm doing that, hopefully I'll look up in 10, 15 years and have something. And if the prices go down, then maybe I can cash it out and then buy the home. But I would have been preparing for an opportunity. If not, I'm always getting money every year after each year. But that doesn't have to be the only way to be creative. Maybe you buy a home with a family member if you have good relationships with your family member and they're financially stable and make good financial decisions. I don't see harm in doing that. You know, people who are married tend to have that benefit, but if you're not at a point where you're ready to get married, you don't want to get married, but you have a family member, a parent or a cousin or a sibling that you guys can join forces and have a home and make a decision that you guys are going to have the home, live there, because everybody needs one roof over their head, and then see in 5 years if you can flip it or if you can sell it and divest, but take that money to buy your own home. That is the stuff I'm talking about being creative, because 401ks, in my opinion, should be left alone till you're 65. I know it's hard and it's like, but I need this money now. But if we can find other ways to make money, side hustles, or I don't know, something, overtime. I do not know, a second job, a third job, because at this point we're a little bit younger, so our bodies can withstand it. As long as we don't go overboard and we're taking care of ourselves as much as we can. But yeah, that's my opinion. What is your creative way that you think could be used to avoid using your 401k in buying a home? And I will see you guys next week. Take care.